Hello again, it's Garson, hello again, it's Garson, and today we're here to talk about the moths, and the bees, and the bears. I'm not having that conversation. And then, of course, the jellyfish. That's right, we're here to talk about the Swarmkeeper. So, let's, without further ado, get in some trouble. Bam! Alright, so, I can either add damage, teleport, or I can shock him. Take that! Jellyfish! And he's even dropped his weapon. Alright, so, what else can we do? We can actually come over here, set up the hunter's mark. Alright, and then we can go in for a double hit with our moths. Yeah, flurry of attack. Wow, oh my goodness. Yeah, Shadow Blade's still busted. Alright, pretty cool, right? And we even have a bear. What can he do? Well, he can get in trouble too. Come on here. Come here. There we go. Alright. Bet you never seen a bear who can teleport. Ready? Yeah. Bam. Here we go. Woo. Okay. Ready? I'll attack. And then I'll go to a safety place. A little ridiculous. But, of course, we're here to talk about none other than the new subclass for Rangers, the Swarmkeeper. So, as always, thank you so much. What we're going to do is roll back the dial, and we'll go over some notes using this handy-dandy whiteboard. Alright, and also shout out to ASCII Art Archive. So, have some cool little ASCII art in the text here, but big thank you to you more importantly. And if you want to watch or support the channel, just keep watching till the end. Or if you have some questions about the new patch and the subclasses, I've got some answers today. So let's get into the bee's knees. Are you ready? I can follow along pretty easily on the right hand side if you want to skip around to me talking about some subjects or even just dive into some ideas with the Swarmkeeper. Ready? So patch 8 is under development, top left. Patch 8 stress test, thanks to you guys. I appreciate you because I have access to it. I pay it forward and try and show you what's possible and even answer some cool questions. So let's get right into it. These are subject to change, but you guys gave me some really cool questions. Like, for instance, Brasswire Brush said, hey, that Touch of Death video with the cantrip, Bone Chill cantrip, does it work with other cantrips like Thorn Whip? So let's upload a video real quick and check this out. So cool interaction with Touch of Death, but what about Thorn Whip? Can that work too? And he was talking about, in that video we were using the Daredevil gloves to make the cantrip a melee attack. Check this out. You don't even need Daredevil gloves. Just be a Death Cleric, obtain the cantrip through a feat, and now Touch of Death is, I don't know. You don't even have to be close to the guy and use Touch of Death with Thorn Whip. I don't know. I can think of some cool ideas and builds that we use this, but it's just kind of cool of an interaction to use. So it was a funny question. I was like, you guys always come up with some like really interesting out there ideas, but then it actually works. So yeah, okay. You can actually use Touch of Death with Thorn Whip. So check that one out. Next up, what we got is Omeramon. It's like Omeramon says, when does Star Dragon actually upgrade? So I have a great video for that too. I made a little clip. Check this out. Pop it out. So he's asking, can you check when this upgrades from 2d6, 3d6, and 4d6? Now he is talking about the Star Druid form, the Dragon constellation. Larian added this move. What we're going to do is actually just level by level see when we reach the 2d6 upgrade to 3d6. And while we're waiting here, we're going to just check every level. We're going to turn to the Dragon constellation form, right? Larian added this really cool weapon, or really cool move with a bonus action when you're in this form. It works really similar to the Dragonborn racial. The same thing. It's a dragon. It's like a little dragon breath based on an element that you chose. For here, it's radiant, right? And you have your little 2d6, and then it upgrades to 3d6, and then even 4d6. But when does it happen? And for those interested, based on your spell modifier, when we're in Druid, it's just Wisdom, right? But based on how you multiclass this, it'll add bonus damage too, as you can see there. So if we get to level 5, check out what happens. So we are now level 5 Druid, right? We'll hop out, and of course, level 5, just like the Dragonborn racial, it upgrades to 3d6, okay? So level 5 is the goal. Let's skip ahead and actually jump to level 10. All right, so at level 10, we're gonna go ahead, just grab a cantrip, whatever, hop back out, see what happens now, and now it's 4d6 plus your spell modifier, okay? So level 5, level 10, just like the Dragonborn racial. Pretty good question. I appreciate that. Okay, so let's move on. We have Linem and Trico actually have pretty similar questions. First, we're going to check out the Flame Blade, okay? So Flame Blade, does it work with the charges, the unique charges with the new Bladesong climax, right? So we'll have to go into Bladesong form, and then we're going to have some kind of druid multi-class to get Flame Blade, and let's see what happens, right? So I go into Bladesong. I have a Flame Blade. Flame Blade is weird. We've covered it. It's such a weird weapon. Does it count as a weapon or a spell attack when you swing it in Bladesong? Well, sorry, Lenum. It counts as nothing. I don't know why. So I definitely want to try a Flame Blade Bladesinger. Flame Blade Singer. But it doesn't really add anything towards the climax, so don't really count on that idea. But it's probably really cool multi-class. It just doesn't really add any healing charges from a weapon attack, nothing down here. And it also doesn't add, like, even though it's considered a level 2 spell sometimes, it, like maybe the Pyro Quickness hat, here it doesn't really matter. It doesn't add anything. So Flame Blade, once again, is really weird. Doesn't really do what you think it would do, right? But Trico asks a similar question when it comes to smiting with the new Bladesong. Does that count towards any of the charges? So let's check that out. Out of curiosity, do level 1 Paladin smites actually add the Bladesong? So let's find out. So we'll use this Paladin and we'll skip ahead and we'll get into combat. Alright, so Will's going to run up. He's going to activate Bladesong first, of course. And here we go. And I'm not going to like Booming Blade or anything. We're just going to weapon attack just before I absolutely murder this guy with a smite. Okay, so we hit him. And we're in Bladesong, and we get the healing charge from a weapon strike, but we don't get any kind of Bladesong climax charge for, like, spell damage. So those who don't know, if you use a level 1 spell or higher while in Bladesong, you will get a charge towards the Bladesong climax. We'll talk about it in another video, but it doesn't seem to work with Paladin smites, even though you're spending a level 1 spell slot. Okay, so weird, but hopefully that answers your questions for now. I really appreciate these because I wasn't even thinking about any of these, and turns out some I would have expected don't work do. It's crazy. Okay, so Ranger though, let's get into the full course with the new subclass. If you have questions, by the way, definitely drop them. I appreciate you guys doing that. I'll try and answer them the best I can, but let's move on to the Swarmkeeper. And first and foremost, we're going to talk about Ranger itself. I have a level 12 right here with Shadowheart, so don't think you have to go do some fancy multi-class. Honestly, with a lot of gear and the feats and maybe even the Swarmkeeper, you might make something pretty crazy, right? But Rangers, I think, let's get something out of the way. This is the only opinion I'm really going to inject. Nothing bad or good, right? Just don't think of them as the bow class, and don't think of them as just fighters with spell slots, right? I love fighters, by the way, and I also love Rangers now that I know a little bit more about them. I've played them a few times, and I've done a lot of different cool ideas with them, okay? But if it helps you understand what a Ranger really is, they're a weapon fighter and a half caster. Sometimes we call weapon fighters marshals. They get fighting styles at level 2 on Ranger, at least a level a little bit later than fighters would get it. I think Paladins also get theirs at level 2, right? And they're also extra attack at level 5, so they're not missing out on that feature. Paladins, same thing, half casters. Marshals as well, they both get theirs at level 5, no problemo. Okay, but since they're half casters, what this is going to mean is you get half the amount of levels, spell slots rather, and you can only go up to level 3 maximum spell slot level, okay? So what's going to happen is every even Ranger level, you're actually going to upgrade your spell slot capacity and move into the higher spell slot abilities, right? But you are a Wisdom caster, which is funny because you're kind of pulling from the Druid side of spell casting and the spell list, like Spike Growth, Long Strider, and so on and so forth, right? But you do get your unique stuff. Unfortunately, you have to learn them, and once they're learned, that's all you get. Clerics, druids, they can prepare their spells out of combat, swap them out on the fly. They know all their spells and they can prepare them as needed. However, just like a bard or maybe an eldritch knight, you have to swap them out as you level up, but you always get to learn at least one new spell per level up, okay? So it pulls from the druid spell list, but there are obviously some flavorful exclusives like Lightning Bow, the Ensnaring Strike, the famous Hunter's Mark, right? So these add to the identity and can really, like, you can hone your playstyle towards these if you want to, right? We're not here to talk about them too much, but there are some really cool exclusives to the class, okay? So favorite enemy and Natural Explorer. Without doing a deep dive in the class, I'm gonna make this really simple for you. This was buffed from apparently tabletop D&D 5 and E. All you really need to know is based on using these combinations of favored enemies and natural explorers, what these really do for you is give you things like Beast Tamer. You now have the Find Familiar spell on short rest, right? Bounty Hunter, you get proficiency in Sleight of Hand, or Ensnaring Strike rather, and makes it harder for them to escape from it, and so on and so forth. You can even get heavy armor. So like I said, this isn't the bow class so much as a unique style of playing a mix between martials and spellcasters, right? So you have proficiencies, cantrips, resistances, armor proficiencies, and ensnaring bonuses. This lets you customize what your hunter or ranger is all about, rather, okay? So then there's the subclasses. Just remember, now we have 4 thanks to Swarmkeeper, but you will be giving up the 3 other subclasses if you choose Swarmkeeper. So without further ado, let's kind of blitz through this a little bit. I'll try and make this easy to understand. It's not too complicated. At level 3, you're going to choose a swarm type. We've seen these. You have the jellyfish, you have the psychic moths, and you also have the piercing bees. Jellyfish are lightning, by the way. Okay, and you do prey scent. What this is with Hunter's Mark, if I were to mark a target, right, obviously it adds a little more damage to my weapon attacks, but when I go to hit them with my swarm, they will also get a little bonus 1d6 damage in addition to their own damage if you choose to damage them with the swarm, okay? We'll talk about that. It kind of sounded confusing. I'll make it simple. Just know, if you choose to attack with your swarm, you get a bonus damage if you're concentrating on Hunter's Mark on them, okay? So gain spells. You get Mage Hand. Mage Hand's really good utility in and out of combat. Could throw potions to you in combat. Could help you in something like Iron Throne. Sneak around the area and open up the doors so that people can escape before the time limit. Fairy Fire could help your team. You cause advantage, including yourself. Anybody caught in the circle will have possibly advantage when you go to attack them with your weapons. Could be a real good game changer early on. Level 5 is really interesting because you get Web. I feel is a very underrated terrain control spell. In fact, there's gear that lets you kind of stand there while others get trapped in it. Or you could use the new Writhing Currents, Writhing Tide ability. Writhing Currents are just charges you get per long rest. You initially start with 3 at level 7. And they come back on long rest, and they can be used once. Just one charge allows you to use the Writhing Tide ability, which is really cool because it lets you fly. So for 10 turns, if I use a Writhing Tide charge, I can use my bonus action to fly 30 feet or 9 meters. And then I get to use this once per turn on a bonus action, so don't be thinking with a Thief multiclass you can use it a bunch of times. I think this is already crazy enough that you can fly per turn with just one charge of this for 10 turns. Is pretty wild, right? So it lasts for bonus action, 10 turns. It works initially as soon as you use it, and then you get to use it on bonus action for 10 turns. But it uses only one charge. So at level 7, you get to use 3 per long rest, right? And at level 9, you actually get 4. But you also become unaffected to surface effects. So you could combo this with the web and fly around because you're technically considered flying and floating, right? And honestly, 30 feet is really crazy. On paper, this doesn't sound crazy, but in honor mode runs, I love fly. You can do a lot of cool stuff with this, okay? And of course, you could probably follow it up with spike growth or web just to have terrain control and just kind of abuse your opponents. But also, you get more charges at level 9. Right now there's 4 on long rest, and you gain the Fart Cloud spell. There's not much I want to say about this. We could talk about this in another video, but this is pretty defensive. You concentrate on it. You now have tons of resistances, but you can't really do anything because, well, you're a fart now. So this is like pretty thematic because you've like become part of the jellyfish swarm here. So that's pretty cool. But you can't really attack. So you can also use it in the environment to fly around and go into places you wouldn't or otherwise go, like pipes and whatnot, to find secret areas. So that's actually pretty cool, but it comes a little bit later at level 9. But also, level 11, finally, you become the Mighty Swarm. So we're going to talk about these moves, but they all get upgraded and get additional effects or more damage, right? And you actually get armor class if you choose the teleport option, okay? But remember earlier I said if you have your Hunter's Mark and you attack with your swarm, this doesn't get upgraded. Just keep that in mind. So 3 swarm types, we'll go through them pretty simple, but just know any of the 3, right? You choose one of the 3 at level 3. If you don't like that type, or you think you want to change types based on what act you're in or what encounters you have coming up, you can change them on level up 2. So if you're experimenting or you have it planned out for the playthrough, that's pretty cool. Once per turn though, on weapon attack, you'll get to choose one of 3 moves. These moves could be additional damage from your swarm, So I'm using the jellyfish. It would give me a 1d6 or 1d8. Let's actually look at them because you can turn them off as a reaction, right? So you can do additional damage. Mine is lightning because I'm using jellyfish, and eventually you can go up from 1d6 to 1d8 on level 11, right? You can also teleport. Every swarm can do this too, and eventually becomes more powerful by giving you teleport and 2 armor class for the turn, okay? And they can also do a specific thing. So jellyfish can shock and later on shock and disarm. This is a saving throw, right? And we'll talk about those. But then we have the bees, right? So the bees also get to do similar stuff. Bees are all centered around the piercing damage. So we'll just see here in the notes, 1d6 piercing damage upgrades to a 1d8. Knocks foes back, and it's a strength saving throw. So if you can get the condition off, you can push them. And also, they become prone at level 11. This is all one saving throw, by the way. And you'll see that repeat with the jellyfish. Like I said, you could shock them instead, and they'll drop their weapon damage, or weapon, which wastes a turn trying to pick that back up and re-equip it. And also, it's lightning damage rather than the piercing damage. And then finally, we have the moths. So the moths are going to do psychic damage, upgrade at level 11. But they can blind foes, and it's a con save, not a strength save. By the way, this is all based on your spellcasting modifier, Wisdom. So Rangers use Wisdom, that's why we talked about it. So if you can raise this, you can have a better chance of causing these effects on the reactions, right? So we can blind, potentially blind, and if we go far enough into level 11, it can slow. I don't know about you, but I just did Arcane Archer on a run. I loved it. Blinding foes was like one of the best arrow types, so the fact that also Swarmkeeper can blind is pretty crazy at level 3, but then later at level 11, this will not only blind them, but slow them, which is insane value, because as long as you get the blind, you also get the slow. It means they can only use either an action or a bonus action. They have half their movement, and they can't use reactions, so this is really deadly, on top of the fact that psychic damage is also really ridiculous. By the way, with the bear, we're using a build that uses Tavern Brawler. I know you might have a lot of questions. There's tons out there. What I can answer in terms of Tavern Brawler is, it doesn't seem to always work where you think it would. If I mix this with Monk, it doesn't work on unarmed attacks, but it does add the bee damage, right? The swarm damage does get increased from throwing with Giant Cleaver on the Giant Barbarian, or the wild form like you're about to see. I have 27 strength. Tavern Brawler does work with your bear form here in wild shape, but then it does increase the piercing damage of the bees when I try to use it. But apparently in this patch, hey, it's subject to change. Things are being tested, but wild form has a bunch of weird interactions right now with Tavern Brawler. But anyway, there's going to be plenty of questions. We'll try to answer them. You let me know in the comments. For now, let's look at some examples. We're not going all out on build time. We're just doing build ideas. Okay, so with this idea, I'm going to try and pull it off for you. Just know, Shart is 100% a ranger. You can still do really awesome things. No multi-classing needed. We're a lightning archer. We're using this bow. We've buffed it with the Drake Throat. Okay, and we're going to go for a reverb set, acuity set, and lightning charges set. This does everything. They all tie into each other. I can even pull off awesome lightning arrows, but I'll just kind of keep it simple. What I want to do is a wombo combo with the swarm. Sadly, while lightning arrow is cool, it does not trigger the swarm. Only weapon attacks do, and I can only do it once per turn. So let me try and build up the right charges. Okay, I don't want to go... Okay, actually, what I do want to do is probably shock him. What I'll do is shock him. Okay, maybe shock him or drop his weapon. And then if I take another attack, I'm doing 3 things at once, right? I'm causing reverb. I'm causing arcane acuity to raise my spell save DC, making it more likely to hit with lightning arrow or the shocking effect, right? And I'm also building up lightning charges. So let's skip around. Okay, come here. Hopefully I can dodge his hits. I don't lose acuity. Cool. All right. And then the Raven. Great. No, don't hurt my crab. Okay. Whew. Good. Thought he was going to hurt my crab. All right. And of course, we'll go up and try and fight him with the crab. Gotcha. Uh-oh. No, my crab! Okay, well, that wasted his reaction, which is good because it's dangerous over here. I'm going to fly away with my bonus action. Okay. I have lightning charges, right? What I'm going to try and do is get a combo off. If I hit him, he's probably going to die. Okay? I don't want to use my reaction just yet. Now, on the next attack, I'll get more damage with the swarm, right? It'll trigger my lightning charges, and then that should pop off and do the additional 1d8. So watch this. Boom. So I did loads of damage more because all the extra instances, and now I pop my lightning charges, and it caused him reverb, and it also got me a lot of arcane acuity, right? So then maybe next turn or another action, I could blow off a lightning arrow. And of course, now with my bonus actions, I can fly around the battlefield. So I find that really cool. I'm excited to play this on the next honor run, right? So lightning arrow is cool. But the swarm doesn't trigger it, if you were wondering, right? Next, I'm going to show you a Shadow Blade example. Shadow Blade is disgusting. It's super strong at level 3 sorcerer. We can actually get it, and it's not a concentration spell anymore, okay? But we can mix the two and do something really crazy with Barrage, okay? Barrage can do a stupid amount of damage with a psychic Shadow Blade build. So let's take a look at more of a melee ranger. So first and foremost, if we use the Hunter's Mark concentration, we'll actually get more psychic damage, right? Because it will not only buff my weapon attacks, but the swarm psychic attacks as well. Alright? So, I have a Shadow Blade. This is going to hurt. He might even just die, but we'll see. Oops. So he does stupid amounts of damage with psychic damage, but we can do even more stupid damage with the little psychic mark, Hunter's Mark, and swarm attack, right? So, let's see what happens next. Right, so I'm using Booming... I could use Booming Blade and Meta Magics thanks to this mix-up too. I can even use Shield with my spell slots. So I have a lot of cool options. A really cool identity of like a Mind Hunter, okay? I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna strike you in the mind with my Shadow Blade. But also, there's some really craziness here as well, okay? Because we have the Barrage ability at level 9, this is going to use my weapon damage, right? Which is all Psychic, which is all doubled up. Okay, so what I could do is something really devastating, especially if they have the Steeped in Bliss, double damage. This whole cone would be massively destroyed, right? So, boom! Okay, he's just 38 damage, would hit everybody right there, okay? And then if I get another action, or even Meta Magic, I can go for it again, okay? So, kaboom! Right, so that whole cone could potentially take 76 damage. That's pretty wild. The sorcerer combo lets me use it again with my bonus action, but it is pretty costly with the spell slots, so thanks to sorcerer, I can go even further with spell slots. And we get the bonus damage on Hunter's Mark and a whole bunch of other cool stuff. I really like this idea, and anything with Shadow Blade, Booming Blade is just utterly disgusting. Okay, so let's move on. We'll go into Gale. Gale? He's a bear? What? Okay, hold on. Reload this real quick. So, this is the natural symbiosis. I've always wanted to play a wild shape form in honor mode, but I haven't yet, so I might play it with this because this is a really cool interaction. I hope it sticks around. Once the patch is actually out, maybe they fix the Tavern Brawler thing, but okay, so Tavern Brawler, if you don't know, it's allowed to affect wild shape unarmed attacks, so we know that if we use the elixir, we can actually override the wild shape stats and go up to 27 strength while we're in the bear form. And a lot of things don't affect wild shapes, so you want to try and find pieces of gear or abilities that can. And here's something funny. Apparently the bees also get the bonus damage from that +8 strength Tavern Brawler thing. So is this a bug? Pun intended? I don't know. But defense from fighting style also works here. It's kind of funny. We have some bonus armor class from the lunar gear, and also the defense fighting style from Ranger. Go figure. Little hidden buffs here and there. You can cast buffs beforehand, like freedom of movement. You can heal with your spell slots, since you are a mix of Ranger, half caster, and full caster, right? Teleporting bear? I don't know. And you can go druid first. Sorry. Anyway, go druid first while leveling, and then evolve into like the symbiotic play or like character, right? So hell yeah, I'm playing this on honor mode and a stream. It'll take a while, but we'll eventually get to a point where I can play this, because this looks awesome. All right, so of course I could push him back, but I do want to show you, you get the bonus damage from Tavern Brawler. So he's at 40 HP right now. Boom, we got an extra 9 damage that came from the 1d6 piercing plus the 8 more damage of piercing from Tavern Brawler. Pretty wild. Unfortunately, I don't think I can use my other swarm abilities, but hey, it's the character that matters. So we'll skip around and we'll see if we can make a teleporting bear. Actually, what I want to do is knock him down. See if I can maul him. You'd think a bear could just knock somebody down on its own. No, not my crab! Oh, okay. No, not crab! No! Crab! You've awoken the bear! Alright, so I'm gonna hit him. Uh-oh. Well, he's dead now. But you can teleport even if there's nothing else to do. And then I could be like, nothing personal, kid. Ugh, and then just hit him with a bear move. But let me show you the push, and then I'll let you go. Oh. Alright. You need some lessons. Hey, boo-boo. I'm pushing you. Oh, okay. So that's why I said you're really going to want to also raise your wisdom so you can get these saving throws and push people around. But it's okay. He's still dead. Alright, so some fun ideas you could do with the subclass. But you can always just stay in the subclass level 12, so keep that in mind, right? But how do you actually play these? Because Garson, these are just level 12 builds. They're already finished. You have the best gear. Well, this is why I play on the live stream. More people, we have more fun when more are watching, asking questions, learning, or just watching on honor mode and seeing that, yes, you can actually have a bear and the bees build and beat honor mode like this. Why not? That's the most fun for me. I want to see you beat honor mode, or if you've already beaten it, I want to see you challenge yourself and have some fun creating some characters because you understand what the potential lies with these cool new subclasses. So if you don't understand something though, drop a comment. If you got a cool question about patch 8, I'm trying to answer it and pay it forward for you guys because you guys help me get access to this and test things for you. All right, so you guys are my sponsors. I appreciate you for watching. That's always the best support. If you want to take it even further beyond, I just ask that you jump in the live stream, or you can always support the channel with membership is always as low as it can go on YouTube. So thank you so much for watching. I hope this was fun for you, but I'm going to check out some more stuff soon and answer your questions. Till then, have a blessed one.